This podcast is part of the Zero to Hero Podcast Network.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And I want to encourage all of you out there to listen to Give a Dad a Podcast. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
If you give a dad a podcast.
Whoa. Hey, Dad.
Bodacious, yeah.
And that's where Beerus was created.
Oh my gosh, it was the best experience of my entire time in wrestling.
Hunky dory.
Seriously?
I think you said Undead Assassin so perfectly.
Where you kind of like cocked your head to one side and you're like, wait a minute, you're the voice of Witchburn?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did the series of Beauty.
Jared, that was beautiful.
It was Deadpool, but if Deadpool were, Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger.
Bruh.
I did those on my own, and I got in trouble for them.
Oh, no.
I'm a fine, upstanding citizen. I don't know what you're talking about, Bert.
And just a reminder before we get started here, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to iGadap wherever it is you're listening. Hit that notification bell so you are notified when a new episode drops. Also, make sure that you go out there and rate and review this episode. Tell me what you think of it. And the more people that do that, the more likely I am to be recommended to somebody else. Now, on to the show. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming back to the show. My name is Jared. I am the host here at If You Give a Dad a Podcast. And I'm really excited about the guy that I have on here tonight to talk with. We set this up a little while ago, and I've known him through some other people that I've had on the show. And one being Kevin Nichols, Ivan Warsaw, that I had on during my first year of the show. And I know that this guy has done some work with Ozark Mountain Wrestling. And he is a Texas-based wrestler. He's also part of Power Slap. This dude is an author. He is a artist when it comes to music. He has wrestled with AEW, Control Your Narrative, NWA, and like I said, Ozark Mountain Wrestling, as well as many other places. And I am talking to Dontae Smiley. Man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, man. Doing very well. Just got finished eating a little bit ago. I had to fuel the beast a little bit. Had a hard workout earlier, getting ready for the match this weekend and whatnot. But I'm blessed, brother. So excited. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, that was me too. My wife made dinner, and then I came out here and got my notes all together and everything, and I'm ready to talk. I'm very excited about this one.
Likewise, brother. I appreciate you hitting me up when you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just kind of jump into this and everything because, I know you through wrestling. And what would you say is the first wrestler that kind of drew you in, got your attention with this? Because, everybody has that one person that's like, oh, when I saw them, that's what made me want to do this.
Man, it was the showstopper, Shawn Michaels, to be honest, man, because I started probably watching wrestling heavy in like 93, 94.
Okay, yeah.
So which I was born in 88. I'm 37 now, so that would have put me, at about 5 years old, 6 years old, somewhere around there. Yep. But my dad had always been a super avid wrestling fan from the 70s and 80s and used to go to shows in Oklahoma and stuff like that, which is where my family is originally from. And he had me fall in love with it, man. Like I say, he was watching the old school WWF wrestling at that time.
Yeah.
And the rest is history now. Always been a fan. I never really took time off like some people do when they kind of reach that teens age where some people start thinking it's a little weird or not cool to watch wrestling anymore at that certain point. But that wasn't me, man. Yeah. And I always stayed with it through the good and the bad and the ugly of, what was going on.
Right. So I actually didn't know. Me and you were the same age. I'm from 88 as well.
Oh yeah, dope. Yeah.
So we kind of grew up watching the same wrestling and everything.
Right.
I think I really remember it picking up popularity big time. I think I was in probably third grade because that's when NWO started, and you got people coming in saying, for life and all that and stuff in school.
Yep.
And I remember seeing that. And but for me, it was Hogan. I grew up seeing him, and then it morphed. Shawn Michaels, though, now even still is one of my favorites. That guy, he can do things in the ring that he makes it believable, and he makes it look beautiful, I guess you could say, because he knew what he was doing in the ring.
Right. Yeah. And what drew me to him, even watching today, as I go back and watch whatever wrestling, right? 'Cause I watch all of it.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm studying and just wanted to go back and watch favorite matches or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And he is by far one of the best sellers to ever touch a professional wrestling ring.
Absolutely.
And that's what really drew me to him, is just because he was so dang charismatic.
Yeah.
Not just how he carried himself or how he talked or the moves that he did in the ring, because he was a pretty decently hybrid wrestler. He didn't do a lot of power moves per se.
Right.
But, outside of power moves, he was pretty hybrid. He would do the technical. He'll put on the show with some charisma and selling. He would do obviously the high flying stuff that he did for a while.
Yeah.
But more than anything, man, especially now, I have such a great appreciation for him selling himself to the game to get his opponents over how he always did.
Right. One thing that I really liked with him also was he was very creative in the ring. And I one thing that comes to mind, and it's not even, one of his better matches. It was just a crazy match that he had. And it was the one where he faced Vince at WrestleMania. When they had, I think it was like a street fight or something. It was right before they did the whole thing with, Vince McMahon versus God and all that.
Yep.
But, it was in that same time frame. And you could see even the look on his face. He was getting a kick out of the things that he was coming up with in his head to do in that match.
Right.
So you see actually at one point when he has like the trash can over Vince, and then he puts him on the table and he climbs to the top of the ladder and he's giggling to himself about what he's about to do. I mean, even his facial expressions, you could see that he was entertained by what he was doing as well.
Well, I mean, I think you have to, man, because that's the beauty of our art form.
Right.
Is that when we're out there, if you're not needing to construct your match from A to Z in the back,
yeah,
and you have somebody that genuinely knows how to work, knows their self well enough, knows how they can get you over with what you want to do, and vice versa.
Right.
And you know how to work an audience, man. It allows you those opportunities to create magic in the moment.
Yeah.
One of my favorite matches personally, not from him, but from, arguably one of my favorite wrestler of all time, Shawn Michaels helped me fall in love with wrestling. But my favorite wrestler of all time is The Rock.
Okay.
And one of my favorite matches of his, if not probably one of my favorite pro wrestling matches, period, if not the most favorite, is The Rock versus Hogan.
Okay. Yeah.
At Mania, man, because when you hear the backstory of that match, and how, one was going as babyface, the other one was going as heel, which, Rock was going in as a babyface, Hogan as a heel, but then they get out there and the audience kind of switched on them before the match started.
Right. Yeah.
And, and they're in there and they just switch it. They didn't even talk about that, switching, but they just knew what they had to do in that moment.
Right.
And just switched it and worked and allowed themselves to work the audience and be pro wrestlers and be in the moment. And create a match that every time I turn it on, it gives me chills in my arm just hearing how crazy that audience went, and just the sights of them staring at each other and looking past each other to the audience and turning the other way till they started banging it out, and just essentially calling majority of that match out there.
Right.
Was absolutely awesome. You know what I mean? And I think, like I said, I think that's the beauty of our art form. We have one of the, outside of freestyle rapping, or freestyle instrumental playing, we have one of the only art forms that you could literally create it in the very moment of being live that. You know what I'm saying? As far as theater, without having to memorize lines and memorize this and memorize that.
Yeah.
When you're good at what you do, you can literally create in the moment, live, in that ring, without having to talk about too much, if anything at all, beforehand, depending on skill level, obviously.
Right. Well, and there's a word that comes to mind that it really is a thing, and that's having a ring IQ.
Right,
and being able to understand how to change, even in the middle of what's going on. Knowing that, I've got to change this because this crowd isn't reacting to this right now.
Yeah.
So knowing when to do that, being smart enough to listen to the crowd and hearing what they want to to see, and what's going to get them behind you. You know, you got to have a good ring IQ.
100%. That's highly important. But also, it's one of them things where it has to be taught as well. You know what I mean? You can't, can you learn it as you go throughout your career? Yes, it's a little bit harder. But like, I was trained by two different individuals. My original trainer was a guy named Anthony Black, who's a second generation wrestler.
Okay.
And he taught me fully how to like call it in the ring. He didn't really allow us to construct stuff in the back. When we were trained, we would have to just kind of call it right there and learn how to react based off of signs the individual was given, opening up, going for a grab, ducking under, tapping a leg for a kick, or whatever it may be. You know, some of those little cool wrestling tricks. And then my second coach was a guy named Lou Gotti, Lamont Williams, who's here in the DFW as well. And he taught me more of like that Midwest style, that touch and go, fast pace, duck this, duck that, flip over this. You know, call that word where you would call a lot of it because you try to get a little bit more technical, a little bit more fancy, or whatever it may be. Right. So I was lucky enough to have the best of both worlds. So being able to combine that, you know what I mean, and what I do now, especially now, you know, 11 years into my career, has helped me so much with all the different people that I face. So if I needed, like when I faced Josh Alexander, when we needed to memorize 35 minutes worth of an in-ring match, it was no issues. Yeah. But then I go wrestle somebody like a James Storm, where we didn't really call that much in the ring. I called that much in the back. I mean, we kind of went out there and worked the audience. It was a little bit like a crowd. And so we gave ourselves the opportunity to create as needed when we were out there, and trusted one another to be able to do that, you know? Right. And so it's awesome. So like I say, I've been blessed to have both of those styles and learn them very well, and work with individuals that I've worked with over my 11 years to be able to show both sides of what I'm able to bring to the table as far as that goes.
Right. So what was that moment that made you decide, you know what, this is what I want to do?
Oh, well, like it's funny, man, because I always tell people it's wild doing everything that I've done, because I didn't feel like I was originally supposed to be here and had achieved everything that I've been blessed to and still am, because, you know, it started with me being in the music business, and then I took a good break from music and got into fitness a little bit. Yeah. And I started a podcast actually called Yes, It's a Wrestling Show. Because here in the DFW, we didn't have any like podcasters going on at that time. Yeah. So my former tag partner and I started this podcast called Yes, It's a Wrestling Show. Mm-hmm. And we went out and did photography and videography and all that kind of stuff for some promotions. And we went out and did it for MPX one night. Okay. And while we were out, we went out to eat with them and drink with them and stuff with some of the wrestlers afterwards, and have a little good time after the show, after we did the photography and videography. And everybody's trying to sell us. Like everybody that worked for them trying to sell us on this training school and that training school, and why we need to train here with this person, and why we need to train here with this person. Right. Which all fine and dandy, but I'm one of them people, man, like, me personally, like, you got to approach me right when you sell me, and I want you to be authentic. I like, if it sounds like you're trying to sell me, I'm less likely to be sold. But when you come up to me and try, like, you know, you just talk like you're a homie and like you've been knowing me and something like that, and you ain't got nothing to lose in the situation, but here's the real deal, and this is how you sell it, I'm more likely to listen. And that's what a chick named Ruthless Lala did. Ruthless Lala came up to us, and she sat down, and she was like, man, I don't care what anybody else told y'all. She was like, yeah, these schools might be good here, might be good there. She was like, but you're going to get the best training from this guy named Anthony Black. He really cares. He's not going to hold you back when you're ready. He's going to throw you out there. He's going to teach you how you need to be taught, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And so she gave us his number and name, obviously. I messaged him that Saturday night on Facebook, and all he mentioned me was, this is my address. Come out on Monday and try it out. I was like, all right, but like, how much is it? He said, don't worry about that. Just come out Monday, see if you like it. Come try us out. So I was like, all right, man. And so, man, we went out there that Monday. I actually got to start before my former tag partner Ty did, because he had some work obligations. I was already kind of working for myself as a trainer at that time, so I could adjust my schedule a lot easier. Yeah. But man, I went out that Monday, then went out there Tuesday, went out there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. every day. And I'm driving like 2 hours a day into the other side of Fort Worth from the colony at that time, man. And I was just automatically sold, getting those bruises and having to callus my back to the ropes. And same thing with learning bumps. And then you start getting into the nitty gritty of moves and psychology and footwork and ring spacing and ring awareness and ring IQ. And man, just over time and just, like I said, I've just been blessed with a lot. I'm always in awe of what God has blessed me with as far as this business goes and stuff. And I've definitely worked for it as well. I've done right by people. Yeah, I've given a lot to the game as well, especially as I've gotten more out of the game with being having some of the alignments that I've had with the people that I've had them. And the ability to help other people get booked or get in contact with, so-and-so, whatever name it may be that I had the contact for, man, I never held back because wrestling is huge. There's a lot of money to be made in the business. There's a lot of positions in the business. Yeah. And everybody can win if they're willing to put in the work to be able to win.
Right. So do you prefer face or heel when you're in the ring?
It's a happy medium, man, because generally, like when you work face, you're doing a few more cooler moves and stuff like that. And I got a dope arsenal of stuff that I do. But like naturally, especially as I've gotten older, I love working as a heel a lot more these days. I can work either perfectly fine. Right. But as I've gotten over and stuff, especially how I'm can carry myself and piss the men off in the audience and make the ladies drool and stuff like that. It's become a little bit of a natural thing, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's it can be a lot of fun. You hear wrestlers talk about being a heel and you get it's a lot more enjoyable, a lot less, I think, stressful too, because you're not having to worry about people liking you, and so you get to have fun with it. I've had different wrestlers on here. I like to ask them, what is your favorite heel move? Do you have a move that you like to do just get the crowd to just start booing you?
Yeah, I'll do this thing, especially I do it as cutoffs generally to where I'm about to take over back in some heat. Yeah. And I just always think it's really funny when it's done. And it gets the, that's bull crap out of the audience where like generally, I mean, I just got to get them in a belly to back position to where their back is in my chest and I'm lifting them up like I'm going to drop them. Yeah. But usually I'll duck a line of theirs, get in that position and lift, and I'll lift them and drop them on the top rope for a nutcracker, essentially. I'll drop them there, make them hang on, run off the rope, pull them off, and then, to the outside of the ring we go. Yeah. But that's what actually one of my favorite things to do to people. or and I still love me a good old school eye poke, literally standing in front, going back and forth, cutting them off with the eye poke. Yeah. I love me a good old school back rake. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do a lot of that, the old school small stuff. It ain't always got to be fancy. Right. I do have fancy stuff that I'll do every now and then, but most of the stuff that really gets the audience wanting to flip me off or cuss me out is when I'm cheating within the rules of cheating, within the rules of the game. You know what I mean? Right. And able to get away with it, or kicking the rope as they're trying to step back in the ring through the middle rope. I'll kick the middle rope or whatever. Yeah. With a nutcracker as well. They don't like when I do that either. So it's little intricate stuff like that. It ain't even necessarily like a move per se, but those little actionable things that I like doing that usually get the audience's pants in a wad somewhat.
So it's actually been a minute since I've seen somebody do a back rake. I remember watching, old school wrestling and seeing stuff like that. And the other day, maybe it wasn't the other day. It wasn't long ago though. I saw Randy and he did the eye poke to somebody, and it's you don't see that very much anymore. Well, you need to see more of that.
Exactly, man. And that's something that so Sermo Bobby Horn from Men on the Mission, he's one of my mentors and he's the owner of the OIWA, who I'm the champ for right there. Yeah. The TV champ and stuff, was a universal champ for quite a few years. But, he's the one that kind of told me to start doing that stuff. He was always pay attention when you watch wrestling to stuff that people aren't doing anymore. Cause he was when you start doing it, it's going to be fresh because people haven't seen it in so long that they're not thinking about it.
Right. What's old is new.
He was right, man. When I did the little rope kick, or when I did the back right. The audience was like, oh, that's that's like right in front of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can see the little finger marks on the back.
Right.
Or like I say, they see you do the eye poke where you might be going back and forth. You fake them out with something and 2 fingers to both eyes right there. They don't see that often, so it's new to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful thing about it. And so that's the stuff I look for when I watch wrestling, especially when I watch older school wrestling, 80s, early, 80s, 90s, and stuff like that. The Flairs, the Steamboats.
Yep.
Because Flair is one of my favorite wrestlers. The Harley races, and all that kind of good stuff is those things that got over then. They kind of fell into the wind and had got lost over time, and bringing them back if possible.
Right. Well, and I like this mindset of it's not you're doing it, and not always to just like get ahead either. Sometimes just doing it just because you can, is the biggest heel move that you can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not doing it for always any specific reason, because you could be in the midst of a heat and literally do it just because it's there to do it.
Yeah.
And you piss the audience off even more at that point.
Right. So you kind of do a little bit of everything. I was doing some research on you, and you're a musical artist. I know that. I think whenever you came out in Power Slap, you came out to your own song, I believe.
Yep.
And so how long have you been in the music business?
I've done music longer than I've done anything else. I've been in it and have done music pretty consistently since I was 18 years old. So we're coming up on 20 years now.
Okay. Who would you say are some of your influences?
Ooh, earlier influences were like your Tupacs, your Eminems.
Yeah.
Your Tribe Called Quest, because I like a lot of that kind of style, that New York style, the West Coast style music.
Yep.
Once I started really getting into it, it was a lot of like Texas rappers from Houston. So like Paul Wall and Chamillionaire and Mike Jones is back then, and MCs and Slim Thugs and stuff like that, because they were huge and super underground.
Yeah.
At that time, before any of them were mainstream, you buying CDs out of the car to know who they are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that was really who got me into it, because I started with like freestyling with my cousin Ryan.
Yeah.
That's how I really got hooked on music and wanted to actually start recording. I'm 14 years old, and me and Ryan are freestyling some Swisher House instrumentals and stuff like that.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's genuinely how it started.
That's
cool.
I
probably recorded my first track. I think I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
I was in a group with these 2 other dudes, my man Antonio Young and my guy Bert Barnes. We had a group called Team United is what we were called. And we recorded like 3 or 4 tracks while we were in school, man. High school, I was a senior, they were juniors. And they made their way around the high school a little bit. People were digging it. People were downloading through whatever download a site that we had to use at that time, because it wasn't easy to really put music online. We're talking 2006 at this time.
Right.
So it was a little bit different on getting music out there. But, I was one that like kept it going and started falling in love with it when I got into college at UNT. I started out here in Denton, Texas. I started throwing a whole bunch of shows and performing more. And I had a little group out here that I wasn't managing, but they were using my studio, because I always had my own recording studio that I did. Taught myself how to mix and master and all that kind of stuff through YouTube and trial and error.
Yeah.
And I've opened up for a lot of major artists as well. I've done tours of sorts. I used to perform at South by Southwest. I've been blessed to do all that kind of cool stuff, man. But the thing with the music business is a very ugly business, man. When you like get deep into it,
right?
Like spiritually ugly, and you can really lose yourself on trying to be a thing within the music business. You know what I mean? When you try to sell a gimmick in the music business, you could really lose yourself.
Yeah.
And lose what you're about and the fabric of your brand, essentially kind of like selling yourself to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I found myself doing in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
And a lot of weird stuff was just starting to happen, man. And I just kind of like recognized it, and I just wanted to step away from it because I wasn't enjoying it anymore when certain things started happening around me and at shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I left for doing music from 2014 to 2018. 2014 is when I found wrestling though as well. So it was a good little trade-off. But then I got back into recording in 2017 and released my first project in about 4 years in 2018 at that time.
Okay. So you brought up some music there. We already know we're the same age. I grew up right outside of Memphis. My dad actually pastored in Memphis in a little community called Fraser. And so, I grew up hearing a lot of those names when it comes to rap and stuff.
Yeah.
Because of where I was at.
3-6 Mafia from out there.
Exactly. 3-6 Mafia, Project Pat, we got Lil White, I mean, the first time I ever heard Jelly Roll was on a Lil White album, and
correct. A lot of people don't know he was a rapper first.
Yeah. I was like, so what I knew him from was completely different than what he's doing now. But I remember when T.I. had a new album that came out, and I had to get it from one of my friends because it was, something that you couldn't find at the store.
Right.
I remember seeing music like that, and it was very inspired, during my, teen years and everything. But yeah, so we grew up listening. A lot of those names that you were saying were all ones that I grew up hearing, Paul Wall, Mike Jones. We all know his phone number. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because my wife is like, where I live now is a completely different area. I moved away from there in 2006 and moved to Northwest Arkansas, where I'm at now. And and I'll go back and I'll listen to that. My wife's like, "How do you know this?" And I was like, "Because it was part of where I'm from. It was
right.
If you didn't listen to this music, then there was something wrong with you."
Right.
So.
That is funny, but true, man.
Yeah,
so true. Like it's just a huge part of us because whether we stay listening to that music on a regular basis or not, at that time of our life, it was everything to us.
Absolutely,
that kind of stuff, man. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Too many memories with it.
For sure.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast and its host, Jared, are part of the Three Ranger Bros Studios. 3 content creators join forces to create their own YouTube channel where you can find geeky, nerdy, and fun videos with many different flavors of geekiness. From Power Rangers to video games to story writing, the 3 bros have it all, including their very own podcast called Within the Writer's Room. Jared, among others, are known as the Council. They're not the 3 Ranger Bros, but they are part of the group and are equally important. Make sure you check out the 3 Ranger Bros Studios on YouTube, or on Linktree, where you can find the 3 Ranger Bros Studios YouTube channel and everyone's individual content. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you there.
So we're going to kind of flip this over a little bit. We've talked about the wrestling side of everything, and we talked a little bit about the music, but I know you also have a book that you've come out with. I wanted to talk a little bit about Ozark Mountain Wrestling, and I know we just recently lost Kevin Nickel. He passed away. I believe it's been a month now.
Yeah,
and everything. And he was one of the first in-person interviews I ever did on this show. I reached out to him and he was like, "Yeah, let's do this in person. I want to do this." And so, it's crazy to think that, he's not here any longer, so.
Right.
So I know you did some work with Ozark Mountain and everything. How did you meet him and how did you get mixed up with that group?
Yeah, man, Kevin. So we've always, like through Facebook, you always know kind of who's who, especially when people are moving and grooving in this business.
Right.
You keep your eye on everybody. And him, being a promoter, he had just like randomly hit me up and said that he wanted me on a show.
Yeah.
And the thing with Kevin, man, he understood, like I said, like I was telling you when we were talking through the chat, his mind for wrestling was fantastic.
Yeah.
And he appreciated people that appreciated like what they did and who they worked for, because when he hit me up, when it comes to the OIWA, whether I was a Universal Champion and now the TV champion, when other companies reach out to me or I'll reach out to other companies,
Yeah.
I tried to get it booked as almost like an OIWA syndicated match because I do have a contract with the OIWA.
Yeah.
So I try to get these companies to let me defend my title on their show.
Gotcha.
A lot of the time when I get other bookings and stuff like that. And generally, like especially now, a lot of people will go for it.
Yeah.
Because the thing with us, we're the type of like a talent trading company. So Bobby will have me do that, and in turn, whatever they champion when he's free, we'll bring in to do the thing with said company's title on our show as well. So they can shine a light on our show, and we can be in different areas and just talent trade, and everybody, you know, can get their company over and represent whatever company it is that they work for over. And so I told Kevin that, and he absolutely loved the fact that we did that.
Right.
You know what I mean? He greatly appreciated that I had a respect for a promoter and was the guy of a company that wanted to show I was the guy at a company and put the organization over regardless of where I was at. Because a lot of companies wish they had somebody that would do that and not oversaturate themselves and not just take any booking or whatever it may be. You see people talk about that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And so we did the thing, man. He let me, like, one show I defended against who was it, Galactica, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And you know, he does a lot of like lucha high flying stuff, you know what I mean? And our dynamic was actually like very good because I'm not really a high flyer. I'm more of like a technical powerhouse type guy.
Yeah.
I do a couple cool jumping, what some might consider high flying. I don't know. I don't really consider high flying. I just can jump really high and use that for a couple moves.
Yeah.
But our dynamic and chemistry was actually like very good because he's a super good face and I was a heel out when I was out there at Ozark. And so he let me do that one. And then him and I, after he became the Ozark Mountain champion, we did a like a title versus title match, like a champion, title versus title. So it was gonna be like a winner takes all match. We ended up going to DQ in that match.
Yeah.
But like you could once again with him, when we were talking about stuff in the back, he was like, I have this idea. And I was like, I have this idea. He had an idea. And I had an idea. And the chemistry was just so good. And we were excited to get ready to do what we did out there, man. And he, you know, he threw a few little things in my bag that I didn't think about at that time of heel stuff to be able to do. I threw some stuff at him, babyface wise, that he could do while I do some of my normal heel stuff. And he was like, oh, that's dope. I get that. And we had awesome matches actually on YouTube and stuff like that. It has a lot of views on that Ozark Mountain page, man. And like Kevin and I went out there and beat the ever-loving mess out of each other, did some real cool stuff, told a very good story.
Yeah.
Like it was a very, you know, that I mean, you've been to Ozark, so you know it's like a very old school crowd. You ain't got to do anything too fancy to entertain them.
Right.
You know, and so I was bantering with the crowd a lot and getting them to chew me out. Oh, it was great. You would have thought it was like 1988 again in wrestling or something, man. But it was awesome. Just like old school heel moment for myself, old school face moment for him.
Yeah.
But it was so fun because the audience was eating out of the palm of our hands with everything that we did. And that's what this is about.
Right.
It's not about going over, it's about getting over. And both of us got over so well in that match with what we were doing and how we were working and selling for each other, trying to make the other person look as best as possible. Still to this day, one of my favorite matches and stuff like that, which is why, like in my entrance video and some of my highlight videos and stuff, I'll put stuff from that match in there. You know what I mean? It would be right by a Josh Alexander clip or PCO clip because I just appreciated us being those style of pro wrestlers in that match because so often you'll go to shows and everybody tries to do a lot of stuff that it doesn't necessarily need to happen to get over in the match, you know what I mean? Because everybody wants to try to get the highlight reel, which I get is 2025, and I'm all for it 100%. But there's a time and a place for everything. You don't need to pull everything out the bag every single match because then it saturates what that move can mean if you do it against, no offense to anybody, but like the no name out in Mineral Wells, Texas, but then go pull the exact same thing out in a match against somebody like a PCO or Austin Aries or Josh Alexander or a TJP or a Jacob Fatu. And then what happened if you pull it out against those kind of names when no name guy kicked out of it or didn't sell it right or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? And now that's crapping on you doing it with the bigger names that you're trying to throw the highlight reel on that's going to get more views.
Yeah.
So you got to just be real smart about the timing and place. And that's something that EC3 taught me and Braun Strowman, Adam Scherr, when I was with CYN for that year, when that was real big and we were moving and grooving with CYN. That's the one thing EC3 told me. He was like, dog, you got arguably the best moveset overall on the roster. You don't need to do everything every single match. Save the double stomp for this. Save the jumping top rope Rana for this. Save this move for this. He was like, you don't need to do it every match. You know what I mean? He was like, pick and choose the battles with that and pull them out when it's important to pull them out to make them that much more special. And that changed everything about how I constructed my matches, honestly, from that point forward. You know what I mean? So now I'll go 5-6 months without doing said move. Then when I finally pull it out, once I got that big name here, it's like, oh, you know, now the crowd goes apeshit to whenever it happens.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about doing that is if you have a move, kind of like in Japan, there's some guys that, you know, have only used a move a certain amount of times because it's like, this is my last resort. I have tried everything else.
Correct.
And I have to pull this out now because of I've got, this is the only way I'm going to win, you know, and it makes that move so much more. Not only is it more important, but it gives a bigger exclamation point for when you do use it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you're not wrestling, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Yeah, so I mean, outside of fitness, obviously, because I love me a good, you know, CrossFit workout. You know what I mean? I love doing CrossFit competitions, so I'll compete. I'll travel to compete. I've traveled like all the way to the other side of the country to do a CrossFit competition and stuff, some big ones.
Oh, wow.
But also, like, a lot of people don't know, I paint. So
really?
You can see me on video, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, all those paintings that are back there on the video and stuff, like, I did all of those up there and stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, cool. All right.
So we got a lot in the living room as well. Like, I've sold paintings. I've done, like, wrestling paintings.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And that's what I love to do, man. I have 2 daughters. It's something that they fall in love with now, too. So a lot of the time, whenever any of us get the paint bug, we invite everybody else to the area, like, lay our little tarp down and kind of get to work on the canvas painting, man.
Yeah.
And so I love doing that. Like, I'll game every now and then.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, I really stay busy, man. Having the 2 girls, staying busy. Like, 'cause I own my own fitness business as well. So there's a lot of stuff I got to do, like back end wise when I'm at the house to stay on top of that. But I'm ultimately a go with the flow person, man. Like, what you call me, like, hey, man, I'm going to do this. Generally, if you're inviting me, I'm probably going to come do it. You know what I mean? Take the fam out to go do this and go to the park and play. Or my daughters love working out and want to go to the gym. I help coach a soccer team now and stuff like that. So it's an era of stuff, to be honest, that I do, man. I leave no stone unturned in getting the most out of life, you know, most definitely, and being with the people that you love and, like, try to give time to people and help people and serve people as well whenever I have the opportunity to, be it, you know, with the church or outside of the church that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's wherever I'm called to do is what I'm for. But that's some of the more, like, in the house stuff that I do, like, with my free time. Is definitely, like I said, the painting situation, making music, producing music. I produce music for wrestlers as well.
Oh, cool.
So a lot of wrestlers. So, like, if somebody needs an interest theme song or whatever, I help with that. Some want some rapping on it. Some want straight instrumental, regardless of how it comes. You know, it's how we do it. We're big with Legos as well. My daughter's a big Lego collector. I like doing Legos. I got a couple more down there. So we do that, you know, like, you know, whatever. Right.
Well, I mean, you're a busy guy. You stay into a little bit of everything, and I see that. And you, when you said you have your own company, it's a CrossFit company, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. We do use a CrossFit methodology. It's called Build Different Fitness.
Okay.
Like I sublease from a gym out here in Carrollton called CrossFit Templum.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm real close with the owner of it, Eric Rona. Him and I do life together at the church. We do life together with our families. That's kind of how I met him, to take my business there and sublease from his gym to kind of run my own personal stuff out of with individuals. And hopefully in due time, I'll have enough saved up when it's time, if it's ever going to be time, if it's within the will of what's supposed to happen in my life, to own my own gym. If that's not what's supposed to happen, then, we'll keep doing it how we're doing it one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a few more things here that I want to talk to you about, and then we'll get you off of here and everything. But who would you say is your favorite opponent to work with?
Ooh, favorite opponent. Like feud wise, or a one-off, or both maybe? I'll do both.
Let's do both, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll do both. So my favorite feud that I have had was with a guy named Nate Lawson from out in this area that worked for Sword Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
Because he was super over, like he wasn't in the business long, but he knew how to get over.
Right.
And he was a great baby face for Sword, the OIWA. And when I faced him, man, I was the biggest version of a heel that I have been outside of a guy named Daniel Alexandro till this day. And Nate and I had a great feud. Every time Nate and I main evented, because we didn't do any matches just to do it. We always did like big builds. It's kind of like The Rock and Austin. They always fought when they were always around each other.
Right.
But they always never had a match until it was like the big show, so to speak, for the most part.
Right.
Unless it was like a multi-man.
Yeah.
And that's how Nate and I was, man. Like in every show, I could accurately say every show that we had here in Dallas, that it was standing room only whenever him and I were main eventing, whether it was a cage match, whether it was a last man standing match, or I think we had like 4 total matches. We had one out in Arkansas that was a like an Iron Man match as well that we did. And so we took it over because, he's from Arkansas. And so it's good because some of his kinfolk got to see him work out there when we went out there to CKW Wrestling out in Little Rock.
Yeah, okay.
With my man Jason Maldonado. And so Nate was Nate was definitely my favorite feud and stuff. But I got another one here brewing that it seems to be based off the last show that some shenanigans are about to get started. And I think it could ultimately end up beating it out based off of how I think things may be turning with these ties. Well, but we'll see. But for now, definitely Nate. And then my favorite one-off. That's even harder. Kevin was definitely up there just because of old school match. Right. But then I would have to put probably 2 of my TJP. Yeah, was a great one. That was out in Arkansas. My Dallas people didn't get to see that, but I wrestled TJP. We had like a 25-minute banger out in Arkansas. And the first like 10 minutes of the match was all chain work, like technical work. It was insane. And we got a "This is awesome" chant before we ran a rope.
that is awesome.
you know what I'm saying? That's how we were getting it, man. Just freestyling out there, letting wrestlers be wrestlers. But a match that honestly changed a lot for me was definitely the when I wrestled Josh Alexander last year. Last June, Josh Alexander and I, because unprovoked, we had our match. Everything went great. Audience ate it up, did what we needed to do. Like I say, 35 minutes in there of ring work. Yeah. And then afterwards, he got on them like unprovoked. Nobody asked, sometimes the promoter was asked. He was just there to have the match with me, collect his money, and go on about his business. But he took it upon himself to get on the microphone and show some extreme love to me. And greatly put me over on the microphone when it wasn't needed. He didn't have to do it. Nobody asked him to do it. But he did it anyway because we had that much of a caliber match that he saw in me what everybody else in the area that has seen me wrestle has seen, or when I've gone out the country has seen. That we're just trying to get one of these major promotions to see at some point, hopefully. You know what I mean? I still got a lot in the tank. I'm only 37 years young, and usually ain't even hitting your peak in wrestling until you're between that like 35 and 40-year-old range anyway, if we're being completely honest. Yeah. And he did that for me, you know what I mean? And like I said, he greatly put me over on the microphone. He talked about the fact that he didn't, like, I dropped a promo on him promoting the match, but he didn't do one. He was like, because quite frankly, I hate doing those, as he said, because a lot of times he'll do them and he'll go to work somebody and it not be what it could have been. You know what I mean? Where they didn't step up to the bar and level of what he was trying to bring out of them or whatever it may be. And he required people to show improvement. He was like, so I was going to treat this the same way. He was like, but the reason I grabbed that microphone is because you did. And he was like, you are as good as you say you are. You're as good as these people think you are. And I found out you're a lot better and as good as the world needs to see you are, type deal. And he actually told TNA about me. The unfortunate thing, when I contacted TNA to be like, hey, I'm Dontae Smiley and Josh said he talked to y'all and all that kind of stuff, they were 100% like, yeah, he told us all about you, yada yada yada. But it was at an awkward time because it was when they were going through their transitional phase because they had just lost I forgot the Booker's name. He's pretty prominent that works for him and recruits for him. Now he's at Maple Leaf Pro.
Right.
It's not coming to me. I'm losing it. But they lost one of the prominent backstage guys at that time that they had always worked for. Josh was also leaving at that time because his contract was up, which I knew about. He had already told me that. So as much as the perfect storm it wasn't perfect enough. So nothing ever came from it, you know what I mean? But they're like, we're going to keep your name on the file and, this and that and, whatever else. So ultimately, my one job is to always put out the best performances every time I step in the ring.
Right.
And as long as I do that, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I always believe. I don't worry about anything that I can't control.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that I can control in my wrestling career, as far as performance and getting out there wise, is the effort that I put in and making sure that every time I step in the ring and I'm in front of that audience, that they get the best version of me that I could possibly give to them.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I stay doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you a TNA guy back in their heyday?
TNA guy when the Bookers, the Steiners, the Hogans, and all of them were there. Yeah. Jared.
Yeah,
and all that. Yeah. I love that generation of TNA 100%.
Yeah, me too.
And it's sprouted. Like I say, I've worked John Schuyler.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, I worked PCO, Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
TJP, I think, who was there for a little bit. He was at New Japan at the time that I worked him.
Okay.
As a tag team champion when we brought him over here. But I've me and PCO had a hardcore match, man. We had a no DQ match, busted open, bled all over the venue, all that good, man. We're working. He's a legend, dude.
Yeah.
That guy is a legend, and getting to work him in a no DQ match and being able to bleed in that match, as weird as it sounds, was just a dream come true.
Yeah.
Because, how many people can say that they wrestled a legend? Not only a pro wrestling legend, but relatively a hardcore legend like
Absolutely.
PCO. That dude sells his soul to the game still at 50-something years old like he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And getting to face him in a no DQ match, sold-out crowd, standing room only here in Dallas, 300 and something people decked to the gills, hanging out the door, having to look at the match through the hallway as they did, man. We tore that place up so much that we did not get invited back to that place. Had that place for years, and they kicked us out after that.
Oh, no.
But also, in all fairness, once again, perfect storm of stuff. We were already looking for a new venue. They had just switched owners. So it was just a perfect whirlwind of stuff to finally just pull the plug and go find somewhere else anyway. But it's just kind of ironic that it did happen after I bled all over their hardwood floors, all over their carpet. And
it makes for a good story.
So that was awesome, man. And that's what I'm saying, man. This, I firmly believe, based off of my experience, that everything that you put in, and obviously you do have to be good at this stuff.
Absolutely.
As far as professional wrestling, you have to be talented. Right. You have to have the look. You got to know how to talk.
Right.
You have to know how to promote yourself. And then you got to back up that talk every opportunity that you get with these names that said promoter maybe try to bring in for you to help you try to get out there more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But this game has given me everything back that I've put in it so far, and it's still continuing to do so. Because, like I said, I got Caprice Coleman coming up this weekend. I was watching Caprice before I started wrestling. Like, I started wrestling in 2014. I was watching Caprice on like Ring of Honor and the early TNA and stuff before I even started wrestling.
Right.
And now I'm getting to face somebody like the Ageless One, formerly known as the Iceman. You know, in his hometown, relatively, of Greensboro, North Carolina, for my championship. But that is once again one of them stories that like you just can't write a better script. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But once again, at the same time, I've put in the work to get everything that I've gotten, that I'm getting, and that I'm going to continue to get, you know, throughout my career. Because once again, I give back to the game a lot. So
yeah. So what does your prep look like when it comes to a match? Do you have? I know there's some people that have, you know, a whole ritual almost that they go through for every match. Do you have something that you do to prepare?
Are we talking about show day?
Yeah.
Like in the locker room and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So generally, I always got to have my caffeine, first and foremost. Caffeine is definitely in the ritual. So I'll go get me like a C4 or a Ghost caffeine drink, something like that I use like also for my workouts. And honestly, like I'm not a listen to music person. Like I'm in the locker room relaxed, man. Like I like being in the locker room just joshing with the boys, to be honest, before we start needing to talk about matches and stuff. Like, I'm the jokester of a locker room. I get in there, want people to have fun. Like, I'll see somebody that's having their first to fifth match or whatever, nervous as all get out, and I'll go mess with them a little bit and try to loosen them up and make sure they're getting ready to have fun and not be so worried about it and, you know, trust their instincts and trust, you know, their training that they've had. And that's more of honestly what I do, man. Like, then once it's time to talk about the match, people know not to talk to me or mess with me at that point because I get dead serious at that point. Like, once the match has been talked about and I'm locked in and going over stuff in my head or with my opponent, people automatically, whatever locker room I know to leave me alone at that point because then I'm locked in from that point forward. And then I got my own, you know, like my stretch routine. I always pray before I go out.
Yeah.
And really, you know, that's about it. It's nothing crazily special and stuff like that, but that's about what I do.
Yeah. So you brought up backstage and everything, and I used to work with a local company here, and seeing backstage, being back there with them behind the curtain it was a very surreal moment for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm standing there with Angel Camacho talking about Lilo and Stitch, you know. So, you know, and it's like, wait a minute, bro. What is going on here, you know? And it was just like, this is one of the coolest things that I've ever got to do is just to be backstage and experience that, you know, being able to be a part of that camaraderie and everything. Right. A lot of it, that's where the bonding happens.
Yeah, no, man, that's exactly it. And I'm real big, like, you know, me myself, my pastor, you shared a quote a long time ago, wherever you go, there you are. Yeah. Meaning whoever you're around, you always give the same you. That way one person doesn't get this Dontae or this Jared, and another person doesn't get this Dontae or this Jared. Like, you're the same everywhere. Who you are is who you are, and you show that.
Yep.
And like, I'm the dude in the locker room, man, that number one, like in any room, this ain't even really the locker room, but we're talking wrestling, so I'm saying locker room, but this is just in general. When I walk into the room, I always try to be the thermostat. Okay. Like, I always try to change the temperature of that room. I don't go in there to figure out what's what. I bring Dontae energy to every room that I'm in, you know what I mean? And I try to leave every place better than what I found it, whatever that is. Right. Maybe that's just me simply being in a locker room and somebody coming up to me, asking me to listen to their match and help critique it or watch their match or just talk wrestling or talk how to get bookings or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? I try to shine the Dontae light into the locker room and preach not only the actual gospel, but the wrestling gospel as well when I'm in the locker rooms with individuals, because that's super important, you know, and I've been able to do that for a very long time in my career. I got injured back in 2016. I dislocated my foot at work, actually. And so it took me out of wrestling for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And during that time, I realized like how quick all this could be lost and be done ultimately. Like, granted, if it was any worse than what it was type deal, it could have been over, you know?
Yeah.
And so I came back with such a greater appreciation of life and opportunity and making sure you seize the opportunity and understanding that we don't have to, we get to,
right,
and all that kind of stuff. And it's benefited, man, because it's changed my whole outlook. Right. So that's me. That's me in the wrestling locker room. I don't care what anybody else has going on. Like, I try to bring my light, try to make people laugh, try to get people to have fun when it's time to get serious and talk business and talk to people about how to get out there and what they need to be doing. We talking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that it's important, like you said, changing the room itself. You know, making sure that you're leaving. Saying that there's a phrase that I really like, and it's leave it better than the way you found it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're going in there and you're trying to make things better, that's what you're doing. And I appreciate seeing that, you know, being backstage. You know, I remember seeing Luke Langley pull a guy to the side and say, okay, this is what you did in your match. You need work on this. You know, I like what you did here, but let's try it this way next time. You know, helping out that younger talent to, you know, make it better, make that product better, you know, helping people out, not just, you know, keeping it to yourself, but, you know, making it a positive atmosphere is always a very important thing to do.
Right. And when you really start realizing that people have a respect for your wrestling mind, not just skill, but your mind, that wrestling IQ that you mentioned way earlier.
Right.
Is when people have arguably possibly done more than you, like assigned talent to like a TNA or New Japan or former WWE guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, man, did you watch that? What did you see? What did you think?
Right.
You know, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Based off of how they already heard you possibly speaking to other people or talking about your stuff, or maybe that was something you said in the pre-show meeting. They could tell you know what you know and what you're talking about, and they want to come up to you and, you know, have you not critique the whole thing, but hey, did you watch it? How was it? And you'd be like, oh yeah, like did this one part looked a little hokey a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the selling or whatever, or this movie looked like y'all got jumped up, and they take that, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh yeah, it was, no, I feel you on that, and don't take offense to that. But where you get that appreciation for those kind of from those kind of individuals to want to pick your mind and see what you know as well, because there's been a lot of people that have been in this business longer than I have that have wanted me to watch their stuff and critique their stuff. And hey, what do you think about this move? Hey, let me tell you about this spot. How can we make it better, or whatever it may be? And I love that, man. I love that. Game peeps game, and real recognize real in those situations.
Right.
And you know, that's the kind of stuff that nobody could ever take away from you.
Yeah.
You got to always keep them receipts. I'm a big receipts person, because a lot of people, especially in this business, will try to negate anything that you did or act like you're less than. Because you know, it's an ego thing, but you know, the greatest thing between being a confident individual and a cocky or egotistical individual is the proof.
Yeah.
When you have proof, you have a right to be confident in what you bring to the table.
Right.
Because the proof is what people can't take away from you. It's the receipts that they can go back and read. It's the stuff that's out there that can be proven time in and time out. They can't when you don't have proof and that ego is up there, that's when the issues come in.
Right.
But when you're confident in your abilities and you can talk the talk, you walk the walk, and you have the receipts and the proof to back it up, can't nobody take that away from you.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have anything coming up that maybe you want to talk about before we get you off of here?
Yeah, man. So shoot, we got a 4-way. I got a big 4-way with Matt Cardona coming up
in September.
Yeah, September 6th. Myself, Matt Cardona, Mr. Wobble, and Daniel Alexandro, and just a good grudge match, fatal 4-way. I'll also be going out of the country here soon again, because I went out the country about 6 times last year.
Okay,
but I'll be going out the country to Australia here soon. I'll be going over to Perth.
Okay.
To wrestle for organization up there, Southern Territory Wrestling is what it is over there with my man Andrew Carter. And so that'll be cool because I haven't been to Australia yet. And so, like, I'm trying to fill that passport up more. That's the one thing wrestling has blessed me with, is the opportunity to travel. And so I try to travel as much as possible. But we got a good partnership with Southern Territory Wrestling.
Yeah.
And part of the OIWA now.
Okay.
And so we'll be going out there in November at some point. Some of their guys will be coming over here, as I said, with the talent trade-offs that we do with the OIWA. And it's going to be a good thing, man. Just kind of riding the wave and stuff. And they got a couple some title defenses lined up, obviously, as long as I keep maintaining the title and whatnot. And so it'll be good, man. And that's just tried and true. Don't know when I'll be back to Power Slap. There's a lot of guys on the roster. Everybody keeps asking me when I'll be back. Like, I can book myself a Power Slap. Power Slap is a major organization.
Right.
And we don't book it ain't like wrestling where we can just email for a booking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but in our roster is very big.
Right.
And, unfortunately, I got knocked out my first match with him, so didn't have the greatest first showing. So it could be a little bit. Yeah. But I'm keeping hopes up. I would love to return back because I think I should have the opportunity to have my little redemption story by going back one way or another.
Yeah.
And so, in due time, people just got to be on the lookout for whenever that happens.
For sure.
I'm working on a new album as well right now. So that's kind of cool. This is the first time I'm actually talking about that.
Okay.
But I've been working on a new album and writing some music of different kind too. Not even rap music and stuff. It's more kind of gospel, flowy, instrumental. I got back into playing the keyboard and stuff like that.
Okay.
So kind of just seeing where that takes me. I'm just having fun with the music thing right now.
Okay.
Seeing kind of just where the lyrics take me, where my mind takes me, where the spirit takes me. To do that, you know what I mean? To make sure I'm doing right by the kingdom and what I'm putting out there.
Right.
So that's really about it right now, man. People can find me on social media at D Smiley Built Different on Instagram. Yeah. I really don't use Twitter. Twitter is kind of the land of the lost, so I honestly just stay away from there because it's just a bunch of jargon. Yeah. I'm not getting involved with. Like, it hasn't helped my career having anything on there, so right, I stay away from Twitter because it also just keeps me out of trouble and keeps my mind sane from people just talking recklessly on there.
Absolutely.
People can, obviously I got a YouTube channel. They can just type my name in, Dontae Smiley. Find me on Facebook, Dontae Smiley. Follow the OIWA, please, OIWA Worldwide. Follow Soul Wrestling Worldwide as well. That'll help you kind of keep up with, everything that I'm surrounded by ultimately, and those that are kind of in the camp and where our travels are at and whatnot. So that's about it, man.
All right, man. Man, this has been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you tonight. I appreciate you coming on here. We're definitely gonna have to do this again, because I'm sure there's tons that we haven't got to cover, and I definitely want to talk to you once you do get back into Power Slap too, because I know you got a redemption story coming there, and I would love to see that happen. So, again, thank you so much for being on the show. I will talk to you for a few more minutes after we end this recording, but we are going to say bye here for now. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode today with Dontae Smiley. So I'm going to keep this real short here. I'm going to be changing formats a little bit, and I'm not going to be doing the long outro anymore. I'm going to just stick to just the interview. So it is going to just be me from now on. Nick and I talked, and he's got some things that he's got going on. He's going to be focusing more on Original Geek for the foreseeable future and everything. So it's just going to be me, and I'm going to be doing the interviews. I will be having him on from time to time. We're going to be doing more of like the Smallville talk and stuff that we did a few weeks ago, and we got some other things planned. So you will be seeing him back on the show every once in a while. But the long outros and the beginning intros and stuff like that, those are going to be going away for now. But yeah, I thank you guys for listening to this episode. Thank you to my guest, and for everything that makes this show go. Make sure that you check out the show notes that we have here. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I'm in my room grounded, but I got a podcast on. He calls us beautiful people, then tells us who we have on. The best part of my day, though we're blocked out in my pods. Tell my friends all about it so that they follow along. And the host is kinda nerdy, but guess what, I am as well. I don't feel so alone and I began walking out of my shell. Heard a story, I needed connection I haven't felt. I'll be looking for the next one, till then farewell. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely. Download and tune in remotely. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely. Download and tune in remotely.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.
That's really good at what I do, man.